Good morning, guys. Let's try this again. Hopefully, I'm not talking to myself in my headphones. Nothing coming back to me. I guess it was a simple reset. Technology, man. I'm trying, guys. Sorry about that. It's a self-produced show, and sometimes I make myself look like a fool, but that's the human side of it and part of the growing pains. My apologies. I'm not hearing anything back in here except as I speak, so that's a good thing. I don't want to listen to myself twice. Neither do you guys. So I hope everybody's doing well. Everybody had a great weekend. Happy Thanksgiving with family, friends, and then Saturday and Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Hope everything went well. Everybody hopefully enjoyed the football Saturday and Sunday. A lot of good games that went on, and as things continue to unfold, the whole Lane Kiffin story. And let me just pop this. We'll be talking about this. Mike Tomlin in the Steelers, Rodney Harrison, and what happened, and I'm disgusted by some of the things that I've seen. Bryce Young coming to life, really nice to see. The Lane Kiffin story that has legs for days, and everyone has an opinion on it. I'll share mine. And then the media, internet, radio, television, newspapers, magazines. I know there's not much magazines or newspapers anymore, but some thoughts I want to share about that. And in a way, I'm part of it, but there's some parts of it that just really, really bother me, and it sometimes makes me question why I'm even doing what I'm doing. I'm being honest with you. And let me just start right there. There is so much trash. There's trash, literal trash, talk and speech and disrespect, on the internet, of course, right? It's unregulated in that way, and people think they can say whatever it is that they want. It's really, really unfortunate to watch, and I get tired of it, to be honest. To do this, to be able to be in the know, to have, my finger on the pulse, I have to, watch this stuff closely. And I have to engage in certain type of conversations and certain threads. And you see a lot of things, and you monitor it, and you think it through. And it's in a way, it's gross. Literally, it's gross. And there are a lot of podcast hosts out there that partake in this. I was telling my wife yesterday, I said, with the recent experience, and I'm not going to get into that. I have a full expose that is done, and I might release this in the future in terms of the way that I was treated by a so-called professional in this industry for 30, 35 years. And the way I was treated on air, off air, by text, and I have everything in text. Whether I make mistakes on somebody's show, or I misquote data, or I mispronounce a name, there's a certain way to treat people, and it's almost as if the internet and in technology seems to have given people, or people think it's given them, the right to just go scorched earth on everybody. It's like the goodness, and people say, "Oh, it's sensitive," and "Oh, you're weak," and "Oh, this," and "Oh, that." No, it's not. It's none of that. And I've partook in some of it in the past, where I would say things like clown or ass, or something like that, and it'd been harsh in certain areas, but generally not to a person, and degrade them as an individual human being, attacking families, calling people hoes, like this guy out in Ole Miss, what he's saying about Lane Kiffin. You can have your opinion about Lane Kiffin, and there's varying degrees of opinion all across, or what, the questions that are asked of athletes and coaches. I understand media has a paper to write for, or a column, or an article, or a podcast, a live stream, something. They're looking for material, but the way that they go about looking for the material is kind of disgusting. And this is not a feel sorry for Shedeur Sanders, episode. This is going on basically with everybody. They're baiting players, they're baiting coaches to say something, and it's not new, right? This is not breaking news. It's been going on for a long time. It just seems like it's exacerbated. It's more now than ever before, because it's all about clicks and status and getting ahead of the next guy and getting more followers and getting more subscribers. And it is believed that that is the way to do that. And I don't agree with that. And maybe that's just not going to work out well for me. But I've been, since this happened to me by this national former sports writer, it's caused me to reflect and think about some of the things that I was doing and how I don't want to treat people a certain kind of way. And I want to make sure that how I act on a live stream and the example that I set is something that people will feel good about. And I don't want them to follow me for the wrong reasons. I want them to follow me for the right reasons. I'm not going to segment people. I'm not or segregate people. I'm not going to destroy people's families. I'm not going to destroy, look for things for people to say to make a mistake so it helps my followers or helps my clicks. I don't want to do it. And I'm not going to do it. I'm going to come on. I'm going to give an opinion. And sometimes it'll get a little bit controversial and sometimes it'll go right up to the line. But to the degree where I've got to bully people or to the degree where I have to say certain things that are going to make people feel bad, honestly, screw that. I'm not doing it. I would rather have a smaller, loyal following that I can help make a difference with, and that my example that I set might make a small difference in someone's life. That's what I'm focused on. And that's what I've done my whole life as a coach, as a teacher, as a leader, as a business owner. It's about making a difference in people's lives. We all have struggles in our own lives. And I don't mean to go on some tangent here, but I think what you see out there is a reflection of what these people say, and the way that they act is actually a reflection on their own life. And it's really sad to see. It's an insecurity. It's an immaturity when people go out and destroy somebody's life or destroy, not their life, but destroy them as a person and just say all of this nonsense. It's actually a reflection on the person who's saying it. I've done a lot of human behavior study in my life, a lot. And this is not new news for me. It's just, I guess I am paying more attention to what people's motives are and to how far they're willing to stoop and how far they're willing to go for a following. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm going to give my opinion. It'll be edgy sometimes. But most of the time, I'm always trying to stay consistent in my mind with that. I'm trying to make a bit of a difference for somebody, and hopefully it helps somebody in some way. From a sports perspective, hey, hopefully it gives you a different angle that maybe you hadn't considered. As a longtime coach and business owner, I talk a lot about things through a coaching lens and through the business side of it. And I'm going to talk about Lane Kiffin here in a moment, and life, sports, and business, and how it meshes and how it all intertwines. Everybody's destroying Lane Kiffin, but I'm going to pose the question as to what you would do. And have you ever done such a thing? And I'll get to that in a minute. So again, I didn't mean to go off on this, but I'm fired up by it. It's really bothering me. And I've got to make good with it to be able to continue to do this. But it's just kind of sickening. And the experience that I had with a national show most recently, I guess, is the part that shook me. And I will say this part. I was speaking to the production consultant, and there's a lot of good guys behind this show, and not everybody is. Hello there. Welcome to the show. A lot of people are good behind the scenes, and I was told that I'm this is verbatim. You can quote me on this. You're a needle in a haystack. We're lucky to have found you. You make us better, and you have serious game, in more game than you even know. That's what I was told by somebody who's been in the industry for 35 years and has worked with every single possible personality, mega stars in the media industry all around sports. And then slowly but surely, I was let me leave it there. Let me just leave it there. but it's disgusting in terms of the way that I was treated because I got some statistics wrong, or because I misworded what it was I was trying to say. Just it's disgusting. And at the right point or the right time, I will release the expose that has already been completed with all the texts and everything and the way that I was treated. Because, you know, everyone has something to say, but some people live in a glass house too. And they put on this persona and they put on this front, this face. And this is a lot of people in media, not all, a lot of people in media. And they use their platform to just do things that are just can be very hurtful to a lot of people. It isn't just me. And I'm a strong guy. I have big shoulders. I'm a pretty brawny guy. I've been through a lot of stuff in my life. So this is not, you know, the worst thing that's ever happened to me, but it is just an uncovering of who somebody really is. And a lot of people out there don't know that, but I do, because I was on the inside and I was behind the scenes. And the way that I was talked to and the way that I was texted, it's just telling. And I think that this happens a lot out there. So I'll save the rest of that for another day. Let's jump right into Rodney Harrison here for a moment. And this really made me, there you see him. This is actually an image of him last night. And that made me sick too. I've been around a lot of death in my life. I've been around a lot of cancer, lost both my parents to the disease. I've been around a lot of stroke patients. I owned a senior related business for 10 years, assisting only elderly. I've been around a lot of things and I've seen a lot of things. I'm 53 years old, and like there's people that are my age that haven't really experienced a lot of death and things like that. And and I'm no doctor, but what Rodney Harris displayed last night is symptomatic, and it could have just been a flub. It could have been. But when it goes on continuously like that, there's reason for concern. And hopefully he got evaluated. But I saw some things on social that say, oh, yeah, Rodney Harrison was really at a loss for words. And look at Rodney Harrison giving great commentary. And I thought to myself, do people even have a heart? Do they even have a soul? Like, that wasn't Rodney Harrison. He's really good at his job, and he was a very good football player. That's not a flub. He's unable to recall the question and unable to recall what he was thinking and be able to articulate what maybe it got all jarbled up. Those are stroke-like symptoms, folks, and they don't always have to be, you know, your face is drooping. It's something went awry there, and hopefully the man got looked at. I would imagine that he has, and I haven't looked into it further this morning. Hopefully he has. You know, Rodney Harrison was a very physical football player. And in a world where CTE has been so the knowledge of it and what it's all about has become more widespread. And if there's anybody, and I'm not saying he has it, and I'm not like trying to misspeak out of turn here, maybe it is partially, you know, some form of that. He was a brutal hitter. And he hit with his head a lot, and he got hit in the head a lot. One of the most vicious safeties that ever played the game in terms of that type of physicality. The Ronnie Lotts and the Rodney Harrisons and the Andre Waters, who had CTE, these guys were absolute missiles. And what we saw last night is, and you could see the concern on Tony Dungy's face. Like, you understand that something is very wrong there. And it's just like, for people to take that and just, again, it goes back to my intro, for people to take that and spin it into some kind of narrative for the sake of clips, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. And I personally hope that Rodney Harrison is okay, and it was just the cold, and, you know, he just had, you know, a moment, sometimes dehydration, sometimes the cold like that. And he, you know, I lose my train of thought sometimes too. But it didn't quite look like that. And prayers up for Rodney. I'll be looking into that a little bit later today to see if there's any news on that. And I hope he's doing okay. I really do. That's unfortunate. And it's unfortunate to watch people to do that. All right, Mike Tomlin and the Steelers. I put this up on X yesterday. It'll never happen. But here's my Here's what I would do if I was in charge of the Steelers. And I think Mike Tomlin, by all accounts, is a good man. I think Mike Tomlin is a good coach. I think Mike Tomlin is the type of guy that you want leading your organization for a lot of reasons. With that being said, it's been 18 years of mostly the same thing. Nothing's changing. I don't have the record up in front of me or anything, but it's been year after year after year has been the same thing, and they just come short. And it's just like it's on shuffle now. It's just the same song repeating over and over and over. And if you've ever done it, I've done it. When songs get popular, you repeat it over and over and over. You listen to it, and then you're like done with it. It's just enough. You don't even want to hear it anymore. And I think that's how Pittsburgh fan is feeling. And I'm not a Pittsburgh fan, but as a football fan and as somebody that talks about it, and as someone who has been a long-time business owner, I mean, it comes to a point where sometimes it's run its course. It's about results. They're not going to compete with the way that they're structured. And quite frankly, I don't think they're going to compete with Mike Tomlin anymore. Mike Tomlin at this point in his career would probably be somebody good to have as a advisor in the front office somewhere. His systems don't work. His coordinators don't work. The methodology behind the way that he coaches in the today modern game, it's behind and it's archaic. And whoever's decision it was to bring in all the older guys, it was a mistake. And I've said this for a long time, DK Metcalf is not a number one wide receiver. He's just not. He's like a 1A or a 1B, however you want to say it. He's the opposite of a 1. And then he can flourish in the number 2 role and look flashes like he is a number 1. But he's not that guy. He wasn't even the guy really that way in Seattle. When they really needed a big play, he wasn't the guy. It was Lockett, and then it became Njigba. And then you bring him over to Pittsburgh, and suddenly he's going to be this guy. And you take him in, and you let Pickens go, and it makes you think. While George Pickens has been pretty immature in a lot of ways, and he was in Pittsburgh, and he kept on doing some things that would make you want to question: is this a guy that we want to invest the money in? That's totally legit. That's a really fair question to ask. Now look at him. So when you look at him now, do you say, okay, that's a result of Dak Prescott? It could be any one of these. That's a result of Dak Prescott. That's a result of play calling. That's a result of having, a solid tight end in Ferguson and CeeDee Lamb on one side. Or is it just the opportunity? Is it the opportunity in a more advanced offensive type system to fully give your players an opportunity to truly show what they can do and go max on their potential and what their skill set is? I don't think George Pickens had that opportunity in Pittsburgh. I really don't. And now he does. And now you get a chance to see it. So I don't really think Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to do that. I didn't think he was going to be in the beginning. Would he be a stopgap measure? Yes. Would he keep them relatively at that 10-win type of plateau that it seems like Mike Tomlin can't get past, and they might not get there now? But is that the goal? Like, that's not the goal. In my opinion, as a business owner, if you are not competing in terms of the NFL, if you are not competing legitimately for an NFL Super Bowl every year in the Final Four and get to the Super Bowl, then what are you doing? So I know everybody says they want to win it, but how legit are you? Do you keep doing the same things over and over to not give you a chance to get there? Or do you keep on doing the same things over and over to give you a legitimate chance to get there? Pittsburgh is not doing that. I don't think it is. Kevin Colbert is long gone. Kevin Colbert was a big part of their success. I know some people disagree with me on that, and Lions fans know Kevin Colbert. He was with the Lions at one time many, many years ago. He's the one responsible for bringing in a lot of that young talent over the years. Guys like Ryan Shazier, and unfortunately he had that injury. Hayward, so many different guys. Their offensive line for years, he's not there anymore. They don't have the players. All right? They don't have the players. They don't have the staff. They don't have the quarterback. When they're using Rodgers, they don't have the quarterback. So if this was me, this is what I would do. I would sit Aaron Rodgers down. Look, you have a responsibility as an organization to do what's best for your team and to do what's best for your fans. You owe them. They are paying to give, they're giving you their money to see a product on the field that has a chance to do something special. Is Will Howard the long-term answer? The jury's out. We have to see it. But Will Howard might actually be the perfect fit for them. And your season's over. What are you, 6-6? Your season's over. You're not progressing. You're regressing. Aaron Rodgers is calling out his wide receivers. No one's on the same page. No one can figure out what the heck they're doing. So what does it matter at this point? 6-6. I'm sorry, Aaron. That's just the way life goes. It happens in the real world every day when we get smacked upside the head with something that happens that we don't like. And he's a Hall of Famer and all of those things. And, you know, he's got a busted up nose. He's got a fractured left wrist or whatever. And it's like, you know, move on. Put Will Howard in the rest of the year. See what you have. At the end of the year, you've got to step away from Mike Tomlin. And there's rumors that he might himself cooperatively agree, mutually agree that it's time to turn the page. 18 years doing anything consecutively is a long time. It's time for something fresh in Pittsburgh. Start with, don't let Tomlin go now. He's earned the right for 18 years with that franchise to finish out the season. Rodgers hasn't been there for 18 years, and they owe nothing to Aaron Rodgers other than the contract that they've given him. Sit him down, have him. He wants to come back for next year. For what? Your team is broken. You don't have the parts. What are you going to do? You're going to go out and get a free agent, and suddenly at 40, he'll be 42, I think, in very shortly here, and suddenly you're going to turn it around next year? You're not. Move on from Aaron Rodgers. Move on from Mike Tomlin. Put Will Howard in starting next week. Let him go the remaining, 5 games. Start to get him acclimated. It's not the roster that you should have long-term, but at least get him in there, get him in game-like situations, and see what he can do. Why wait? We already know the results. We're all Nostradamus in this, I think. We all know how this is going to end with Pittsburgh. If they keep it the same way as they had it yesterday for the remaining 5 games, we already know what the outcome is going to be. We don't know what the outcome is going to be if they put Will Howard in there. And that's why you have to see. Why would you go into next year? You drafted him in the 6th round. I understand it's a flyer. It's a long shot. Played very well at Kansas State, won a national championship with Ohio State. A lot of people seem to think, well, anybody could have won that, won that championship with Ohio State. You could have put this quarterback, this quarterback, this quarterback. Nonsense. He was the quarterback. He made the throws. He made the plays. He was nails. He's a tough guy. He's accurate. He's all of those things. So you don't know what you have with him until you give him the opportunity. Give it to him now. Don't start next year and say, oh, let's give him, the usual 5 games, 6 games. Let's see what we got with Will Howard, and if he's our answer. Go now. Go now. Your season's over. And if Will Howard comes in and maybe that just clicks and lights the world on fire and somehow you sneak into a playoff, great. But you're done as you are currently constituted. What you are doing right now as of yesterday, it doesn't work. It hasn't worked for weeks. You had a few moments, a few spots earlier in the year. I think it was TJ Watt. TJ Watt said, I have never seen, and I'm paraphrasing here, I've never been a part of a team keep running the same play over and over and over and over, and we couldn't stop it. So it's defensively, it's offensively, it's the whole team. It's the whole makeup. It's the whole leadership. It's stale. It's old. It's literally old. It's enough already. So Pittsburgh fan, I certainly feel for you. Bryce Young, this is a really interesting story. And you have people online that talk about quarterbacks as midgets. You have people that talk about quarterbacks as 6 foot, can't succeed, and all this nonsense. It's garbage. Do they have some challenges that might not be present in a 6'5" guy? Yes. 100%. Yes. Is it harder for them? Yes. Did Drew Brees do it? Yes. Are there other quarterbacks like a Russell Wilson that did it? Yes. Are there guys in and around 6 foot and 6'1"? Baker Mayfield, I believe, is 6'1", comes to mind. Not the biggest of guys. Not everybody's Justin Herbert. Not everybody's Josh Allen. I mean, Mahomes is, I think, 6'2". He might be 6'3", but I think he's 6'2". So, and I've said this often, and I said it about Dillon Gabriel, and I'll say it about Bryce Young. When you are a shorter quarterback like that, and you have some things working against you, you have to process the game at a different level and at a different speed, and you have to be more in tune with the details than maybe a 6'4" or 5 guy that has more natural, gifted size. There are some benefits that can come from that. What we saw Bryce Young do yesterday to statistically the best defense in the NFL in not the best conditions. Yeah, he only threw for 204 or something like that, just over, but 3 scores, dropping dots. Bryce Young dropping dots. And here I go with the coaching part of it again. And what you see as a coach and what you understand at a different level from a coach. Bryce Young is essentially an emotionless guy for the most part. It's like you got to check to see if he's got a pulse type of guy. And when he was making those plays, and they as a team were making those plays, you saw a different Bryce Young come out. You saw something inside, a fire, a life come out. That is huge. That's confidence. That's proof. That's, wow, I can do this. I'm taking all of this nonsense. I'm getting all of this negativity. It's not working. I got benched. Andy Dalton came in, whatever it was. Thank you. Is it Robert? Thank you, Robert. It's all that nonsense that he had to put up with. And this does not mean that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. This does not mean that this is going to continue every single week forever. What this means is this is a next step for him. He's gone next level from what he was. And for those out there that hate young quarterbacks, it can be, or not young quarterbacks, short quarterbacks or shorter quarterbacks, it can be done, and he proved it. That's what, a 9-2 team that they were playing yesterday? Basically one of the top 3 teams in the NFL right now. He did that. And you can't take that away from him no matter what you try. And I'm telling you that's what Bryce Young is feeling. I've been in locker rooms. I've helped guys get to that point to ignore those negative results sometimes and the negative things that people say, the trash talk and all of that. He hit something inside. And you got to give Carolina a lot of credit all the way around. I think we could all agree. Tata is a terrific wide receiver. Rico Dowdell, sometimes that's a great example of sometimes a new situation gives new life. Rico Dowdell shows some things that it's like you never saw it in Dallas. Was it because of lack of opportunity? Was it the play calling? Was it the scheme? Was it the system? Was it the offensive line? There's so many different things that go into it. Carolina is not loaded with talent, guys. And what are they, 7-6 now? It's like, are you kidding? Or 6-6, whichever it is, 7-5 maybe. It's like when you can perform like that with not loaded weapons all over the field, that tells you you're onto something. It's a lot like Seattle yesterday. They didn't have it. They didn't. Brian Flores is a blitz maniac. And if anybody understood Sam Darnold, it's Brian Flores because he was there last year. But when you're not hitting on all cylinders and you still win 26-0, regardless if it was Brosmer as your quarterback, third string, all of this type of stuff, regardless, really hard to shut out a team in the NFL, especially with the way the rules are. So when you're not at your best and you still win 26-0, and Darnold was very average yesterday, that tells you how far along you are. And so back to Carolina, when you're playing a juggernaut like the Rams that can basically score at will on you and on anybody, and you basically have the MVP quarterback of the league right now, and you come out and you do that, and then it's going back and forth, and you could fold up. You could say, man, we put our best foot forward and it just didn't work out, but man, we gave it our best. But then you keep fighting and you keep fighting and you keep fighting, and you're raising your level. That tells you what the culture is. That tells you what the structure is of the organization. That tells you about, and this is an old-fashioned word, I'm showing my age, it's the moxie. It's the fight in the team. It's the unity. It's the belief within the team, and it's led by, as far as the team component, like the players, that's led by Bryce Young. It is. They don't have guys on defense that are all world, like come follow me guys yet. Maybe developing into that, but it isn't like you have, an Aiden Hutchinson, or you have Rohan Davey. If you have somebody like that, or like they had in the past with Luke Kuechly. So you got to give them a lot of credit for what they've done. And I bet you some part of what Bryce Young was feeling inside is like, how you like me now? Can you shut your mouth now, please? So really great job by Bryce Young, and I'm really happy about it. I was tweeting about it during the game. The barcode that you guys, a QR code that you see on the screen, guys, go ahead and scan that and smash the subscribe button. It'll take you right to our YouTube account. A lot more will be coming up there very soon. Our live show runs on there all the time. If you prefer YouTube over X and you use that more, shorts go up there. It's a little bit behind. It's behind in terms of content versus X. But go ahead and scan that and smash the subscribe button. If you're on YouTube right now and you don't follow PB Sports Talk on X, please do so. PB Sports at PB Sports Talks with an S on the end. YouTube is at PB Sports Talk, but go ahead and scan that QR code. All right. So Lane Kiffin, the biggest story in sports right now. And I was never a fan of Lane Kiffin. I did not like how he did things with the Raiders. I didn't even like the way that he did things with Tennessee. I didn't like some of his arrogance that I had seen in years past. But here's my thoughts on Lane Kiffin. And let's be clear here. Nobody knows exactly who or what to believe. I'm going to share my opinion, my take on what Lane has shown, because he's really the only person that we've heard from. We haven't heard from the AD. We haven't heard from assistants that have come out and spoke on this. They're staying relatively mum on this. So when he was interviewed at the airport yesterday, and some of the ways he's conducted things that we are aware of, that we know, that have come from his mouth or from his finger in his text, that's what I'm going to give you my opinion on. If more comes out, I reserve the right? I reserve judgment to change it at that point in time. Let me also be clear. If he in any way extorted and said, if you don't allow me to coach, now I'm speaking in hypotheticals here. If you don't allow me to stay, I'm taking every player, I'm taking every coach. I'm going to crush this university. If he did something like that, then all bets are off. Then Lane Kiffin is nothing's changed. Okay? If that has happened, nothing has changed. Let's assume for a moment that he's been honest with us. And then what he said at the airport is like, no, that's a narrative that people are pushing. And every coach has the, and if he's lying about that, and he could lie to a camera like that, man, that's just not good. But he said, and I'm paraphrasing, it's every coach's decision. If they want to stay, that's their family, that's their decision to make. Now, let's say it's true. He wants to go to LSU. He wants to leave Ole Miss. Or he was torn. Florida, LSU for weeks now. He has this background of dragging things out and the drama. I get it. But that does not necessarily mean that was the case here. Again, we're going to take it at face value on what it is we actually know at this point. I don't care about this kid who came out and called him a hoe and all these type of things. That guy doesn't know anything in terms of what really, truly went on. He's up for clicks. And speaking of that guy, and I don't have his name right here, if you go to his X page, and this is the part that kills me, these people out there that call themselves Christians and they give Bible verses. He says, ask me anything about my daughters or ask me anything about Ole Miss. And so I asked him yesterday, what kind of example are you setting for your daughters? Like, he's got a Bible verse there. And it's like, you come out and you use that language about another human being. I don't care what your opinion is of the person. Don't talk to somebody like that. And good for Lane Kiffin for approaching him. Like, that's what I'm in the intro here, in the open. That's what I'm saying. You don't get the right to call somebody anything you want because you have one of these. You don't get to degrade them as a person or their family or anything else. You just don't. If you want to, degrade the performance and question the performance and ask legitimate questions about why a team is failing, about Mike Tomlin, but that doesn't mean Mike Tomlin's a bad guy. I actually think Mike Tomlin's a good guy. I think Mike Tomlin's been good for the NFL, but it's not getting done anymore. So I question his ability to coach in the modern game. All right, back to Kiffin. So an opportunity presents itself. You're the head football coach. What is this? Year 6 of Ole Miss. You rebuilt an entire program to a national power. LSU, Florida, Penn State, Alabama 2 years ago. These type of jobs don't open up every day. LSU is, I think we could all agree, is somewhere in the top 5 programs in all of sports or in all of college football. Head coaching position, biggest job, top 5 that you can have. I would submit that Ole Miss is probably not even in the top 40 or 50, maybe even 60 jobs in college. It's clear as day. Lane Kiffin was up here. Raiders, Tennessee, USC, Florida International mixed in there to help fix his brand, goes to Ole Miss, has a 6-year run, rebuilds the entire organization or the entire university's football program, delivers Jackson Dart, who's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm on record with that. He will be better than Eli Manning, barring injury. He developed that guy. And he's got his team in the national playoff coming up here. He led that program, folks. He built that program. He's responsible for that. There's people that helped him, but he's responsible for that because 6 years ago when he came in, it wasn't there. It wasn't doing well. It was in the toilet. So within that 6 years, you rebuild your brand. And we're going to talk about how this equates, how I believe this equates to life here coming up. So he rebuilds his brand. He rebuilds the program. They're doing that simultaneously. You get into a national championship hunt, and it's now a 12-team playoff in the college football playoff, and you're one of those teams. And LSU opens up. And folks, this is an NCAA issue in terms of where and how the calendar falls and how it works. LSU, Florida, all of those programs, you need to hire a coach. You have recruiting to do. You potentially have bowl games. You have offseason. You have recruiting. You have NIL. You have all of these things that you need a face to your program. And it's gone on. It's gone on. It's gone on. I waited for like 3 weeks. Some people think that was the drama. Maybe he was truly torn. He has everything he wants in Ole Miss. He's king of the castle. There's apparently plenty of money that they put on the table to try to keep him. Apparently NIL money is there, etc. So, and I appreciate that he did this, and I think it was a great move. By all accounts, he reached out to Pete Carroll and Nick Saban for advice. 2 titans, right, in college football history. 2 guys who've moved around quite a bit. Those are great guys to counsel. Lane Kiffin is 50. He's in the prime of his career. He has a top 5 job, a top 5 university in terms of a football program that is showing interest. What exactly is Lane Kiffin supposed to do? Is Lane Kiffin supposed to say, we're in the college football playoff? Bye, LSU. I'm going to see this through. The Florida job's gone. The LSU job's gone. Whatever other jobs are gone. I'm coming back next year. Is that what he should have done? Would that have made some people happy? Let's talk about this in life. And I put this out as an example yesterday on X. Let's say you work for General Motors and you're working on an incredible EV project. It's an electric vehicle that's going to rival Tesla, and it's going to put you on the map because GM, Ford, they really don't have anything. Chrysler, they don't have anything on the level of a Tesla that's globally known as, I got to have this car. They're trying, but it hasn't happened. Let's say you've been working 2-3 years on this project, and you're absolutely embedded in the project. You're trying to stand up against Tesla. They are the king. And man, you're in it. You're working your ass off. And there's a release date. And Tesla decides they want to hire you. They see what you're doing. They like what you're doing. And they see you as a potential valuable asset to their organization, to their company. So Tesla starts recruiting you. You're at GM, General Motors, and they start recruiting you. But you're on a project with a team, and you have years invested with that team. And this is a moment. They're giving you a week to make a decision, which is usually what it is. Here's our offer. It's good for a week, or maybe it's good for 10 days. And we need a decision for you because we have this spot. We need to fill it. We have 5 candidates. You're number 1. You don't take it, we're going to number 2. And it's an opportunity of a lifetime. Tesla is the EV leader in the world. If you're that person, are you going to stay loyal? Let's say the money is, let's say the money isn't the driver of the difference. Because I'll just be honest, I'm not sure that, I don't think that Lane Kiffin went to LSU for the money. I really don't. In the grand scheme of things, he's made a lot of money. He was making a lot of money at Ole Miss. They gave him a lot more money to stay, or we're going to give him a lot more money to stay at Ole Miss. And so it's by comparison. The person leave GM to go to Tesla for the money, let's put that aside. I want to be with the number 1 brand. They're giving me a promotion in position, or it's a more status position. I get to initiate certain things that maybe I didn't get a chance to do over here. So LSU is going to have more access to NIL players than Ole Miss. Let's make no mistake about it. And that's no disrespect to people at Ole Miss. If you have the ability and the same money to recruit and NIL and portal and all of this at LSU, and you're going to try for the same opportunity at Ole Miss and LSU, who's the dominant athlete going to choose between those two schools? They're going to choose LSU most of the time. Maybe it's a family thing and they live in a certain part, or Ole Miss, it has some sort of meaning to their family historically. Like I think it's the AD over there that came up through the program, and it means something to him. So maybe it means something to a potential recruit. But if all things being equal, and you have a choice between LSU to go be a superstar, and it's money's close, 9 out of 10 are picking LSU. The GM person decides to take the job at Tesla. Are we going to destroy the person who works for General Motors because even though he's got a year, 2, 3 years invested into an EV program to go ahead and rival the Tesla models and become a player and go 1 and 1A and go right up next to Tesla? Are they going to stay at GM because they had a year or 2 invested? You have any idea? You don't have any idea, but I'm telling you, I've had countless employees over the years making 6 figures make decisions on a whim. Some have left with notice. Some of them have left without notice. Some we saw it coming. Some we didn't see it coming. And the reasons are ample as to why they would do such a thing. They didn't want it anymore. Maybe it was too hard. Maybe it was not what they enjoyed anymore. Maybe the drive was too long. Maybe the standard and the expectation wasn't a fit, and they moved on for whatever reason. Maybe they were there 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. They needed to make a decision that was right for them. Lane Kiffin made a decision that he felt was right for him at 50 years old, the prime of his career. He's rebuilt his brand. LSU gives him more opportunity on every level to get absolutely everything he's wanted versus an Ole Miss. In terms of the timing of it, I believe him that he tried to finish out what he started, kind of like a 2-week notice would. Some people give a month notice, depending on where you're at and what type of role you have. I've been, 2 months ago, let's say, they would put it in a notice and say, I'm going to take it through the end of the year. Again, it depends on the level. So as it relates to Lane Kiffin and his importance to the university, I'm talking from Lane Kiffin's perspective, not Ole Miss, because they're two different things. Lane Kiffin says, I want to stay and coach the team. I want to finish this out. And he said that he was trying to negotiate a way to make that happen. Did he bail on his team? LSU is here and it's going to be gone. You have to give him an answer. So you say, I want to take the LSU job, sir, but I'd love to be able to help the team complete what we started and finish this thing out to the end. LSU is going to be understanding of that, but I would need to agree to be the coach in waiting for the LSU Tigers. I believe he tried to do this. People say, oh, he wanted his cake and eat it too. This goes on every single day in life. What am I missing here? Again, if you didn't see it earlier, if Lane Kiffin used LSU to steal players and coaches and use that to threaten them, if you don't let me finish, here's what I'm going to do, then that's different. All bets are off. But assuming he did it manned up and did it in a good way and say, hey, look, I feel bad about this. This was a decision that I could not pass up. LSU is a place that I think is going to work for my family and myself long term. I'm going to go ahead and accept that job. But I feel a sense of loyalty to the program, to how great you guys have treated me. And you don't think that Lane Kiffin knows that Ole Miss gave him an opportunity to rebuild his brand? No matter what you think of Lane Kiffin, I believe he knows that, feels that on some level. So I would love for an opportunity. Let's assume he did it this way. I would love for an opportunity to finish with these guys. They mean a lot to me. We've built something special here. I'd love to finish it out. Now, obviously, Ole Miss said no to that. Is Ole Miss wrong for that? Not necessarily. Because Ole Miss has a lot of things to take into consideration. They have to take into consideration players, the players' families, future recruits, the fans. And as you could see at the airport yesterday, if you watched the video, they're not happy. And there's a lot of trash going on online. So if they allow him to stay, they might have wanted to. On some level, they might have wanted to and felt like that was a good thing. And hey, let him finish. But over here outweighs over here. And it's like, man, we're going to have to deal with all of this, and it could hurt us by letting him stay. So the way he conducted himself in the interview at the airport yesterday, I thought he handled it really well. Did he handle that way behind the scenes? We don't know for sure. But if he handled it behind the scenes, the way he handled it at the airport, why is Lane Kiffin getting destroyed right now when the calendar is what the calendar is? Players leave any time now. You could leave any time and enroll at another school and play for somebody else tomorrow. Well, not tomorrow because the season's over, but after week 2, I don't want to play here no more. I'm going to unenroll. I'm out. And then they get to go enroll, and there's not even any limits anymore, and you can basically go play. There's not a year waiting period, and all that stuff has changed so much. Players do it. Assistants do it. Administration officials do it. The coaching calendar is such that between the end of the season, or it depends on when they fire a guy, and that's another thing. A university could fire a guy at midpoint and just say, you know what? Your services are no longer needed. Bye. Napier, Brian Kelly, there's a whole bunch of people. James Franklin. So this guy makes a decision for him and his family that he feels is in the best interest of him. And I'm telling you, as a former employer of so many people over the years and or managing thousands of people over the years, Yeah, it stinks. When you have a really good thing going and you have a really quality person or persons in a role and they decide for whatever reason to go someplace else, yeah, it's hard to take. It hurts. You have a lot of time, you have a lot of money, you have a lot of, personal interaction, teaching, coaching, leading. You have so much invested into the person or persons. It's tough to see that go on or to break apart for whatever the reason. I get it. And it is not always a happy feeling. Sometimes it's an angry feeling. Sometimes it's a letdown feeling. I get it. The fans of Ole Miss feel like they've been let down. But I would challenge everybody to rethink this a little bit. Maybe put yourself in the shoes. Ole Miss is not LSU. I don't care how you slice it. People say, oh, LSU is this right now, and they're not that good right now. Well, Ole Miss wasn't very good when Lane Kiffin got there. And look what he did. And let's just be honest, he did not have the pull. Well, when he entered, there was no NIL. There was no portal when he entered at Ole Miss. Now, it's there. Are you going to be able to recruit the same people and acquire the same people at Ole Miss as you are at LSU? No. 100% no. He has the ability to go there for the next 10 years and be in or sniffing right at the national championship every single year. That's not going to happen at Ole Miss. If none of this happened, that's not going to happen at Ole Miss. It's just not possible. It's just not enough of those level of athletes. Let's just keep it real. It's not the same level of athlete going to Ole Miss as it is to LSU. It is not equal. As much as the people in Ole Miss want to make it equal, it's not. LSU is not very good right now, but that will change quickly. He will get this to change. It appears Charlie Weis Jr. has gone with. We shall see. That's attractive. And people love offense, and he's very good at it. So I understand Ole Miss's position. You've got to cut. You've got to cut bait for the sanctity, right? And salvage your university and your brand in terms of how upset people are. Oh, he bailed on these guys. What's he supposed to do? He wanted to stay and finish, but he wanted to accept the job. Now, I've had people leave me and say, I'm going to give you a 30-day notice. There's big things that were going on that person or persons wouldn't be able to see. I'm going to give you 30 days. And I went ahead with it. Person that was with me for 6 years. Same as, ironically, same as Lane Kiffin. 6 years. Now, it wasn't the right person. In all honesty, it wasn't the right person for the job, but it was invested. And I was invested into him. He was invested into us. Everybody knew who he was. When that decision comes, it's not easy. I get it. And I don't mean to sound repetitive here, but this outburst from people, and there are some out there that are really making common sense. Hey, the NCAA is really the ones at fault here. Why would a coach, have to go through this? It's probably Lane Kiffin's background. There he goes again. This Lane Kiffin this, it's Lane Kiffin that. Man, you can't go back to the Raiders and the Tennessee situation or whatever and say that that's what's, pushing this right now. I don't think it has anything to do with it. You can argue that of all the jobs that he's had, just throw out the Raiders because he's mostly a college guy. Of all the jobs, including USC, Tennessee, Florida International, Ole Miss, LSU. All right, USC and LSU are on the same level, let's just say. Prestigious, power university, incredible resources. How do you blame the guy? Pass up LSU, come back to Ole Miss, and hope, hope Lincoln Riley gets axed. Hope, Kayla DeBoer gets axed and you end up at Alabama. I mean, you were there as an offensive coordinator, but to get the head coaching job, maybe Texas, is that what you're going to do? You're going to pass up on it? It's right here. It's right now. It might not ever come again. How is no one seeing this? And they're only seeing Lane Kiffin's history. his background. I just don't think that that's fair. I really don't. Again, for the last time, unless he went in there and he tried to extort everything and say, if you don't do this, I'm going to do that. That would throw all this out the window. This is only on face value based on what he has said, because no one else that we know for sure, such as the AD and other people in the chancellor, they spoke yesterday, but they didn't speak like in detail about exactly what happened. They said it's been a tumultuous few weeks. Of course, an offer comes in. When an offer came in to me as an employer, it made for a tumultuous few weeks. Let me tell you, that person I just spoke of that stayed for a month, that made for a tumultuous 30 days. Yeah, it's tumultuous. So lay off the guy, for crying out loud. Until proven otherwise, I think you'd all do the same thing. And if you were at GM, you'd take the job over at Tesla. I really do. If you were at, I don't know, the Jacksonville Jaguars, no disrespect to Jacksonville. If you were like the hottest thing going and you were at Jacksonville, or you were at, I don't know, the Cleveland Browns, well, that's a famous brand forever. But let's say Jacksonville is newer, and I don't know, the Rams wanted you or the Giants wanted you. You'd be hard pressed to not consider that job. So there's a human part of this. There's a person part of this. There's a family part of this, and everybody just wants to chuck it. And I'll close with this. Man, if anybody out there is listening, chill the hell out on social media and attacking people. And I'm not just talking about Lane Kiffin. And I'm not, everybody knows my history, I think, about what I have thought and said about Shedeur Sanders and the 5th round pick and all of that. I'm not sticking up for the guy. But don't ask the guy those questions and try to get him to throw his coach under the bus. Don't ask anybody that question. In fact, for the 1 millionth time, can we stop these player press conferences? I don't care if it's the quarterback, running back, wide receiver, D lineman, MVP. I don't care who it is. Don't have them. Don't have in-game, pre-game, in-game, halftime, post-game interviews with coaches. It's of no value. You're trying to get it. You're trying to bait them for there to be value. There's no value. They're not going to give you anything. Yeah, we got to do better. We got to take care of the ball. We can't turn it over. We got to play better defense. We've got to execute better. I mean, what is this coach speak? They're not going to tell you anything. They don't owe you anything. And that's all due respect to a lot of people that follow me or that I follow or have interaction with that do that for a living. I understand why you have to do it, but man, change the rules, NFL, NBA. Interviewing the guy at his locker, 12 minutes after he just whatever. It's like nothing good can come from that. Even if they won, you're looking for a quote. You're looking for a headline. You're going to ask Shedeur Sanders to throw his coach under the bus. Like, and props to him. Now, a couple of times in the last week, they baited him. And he said, that's a disrespectful question. Credit to him for doing that. The one before that was, now you're really trying to start something, aren't you? Good for him on that. And I wish more guys would just shut it down and somebody just stop this madness. Seriously, it's one presser a week by the head coach with maybe 2 people that you can make available for a portion of that presser. Maybe it's your offensive coordinator one week. Maybe it is your quarterback the next week. Whatever it is, that's it. One presser a week. And let it be, for crying out loud. Let it be. It makes a mockery of the game. There's no real value in it. I know people's jobs depend on it, but there's other ways that they can get us information. There's other ways that they can disseminate information to the public to do with it what they wish. But asking these guys at their locker, taking pictures of them, how they walk in, the WNBA and the circus that is. It's like a runway model show, and half of them have no clothes on. It's disgusting. It is not to say that I don't like beautiful women, and my wife's a beautiful woman. But come on, man. Just can we like enjoy the sport for what the sport is? Be kind of nice. All right, so. Monday Night Football tonight. You can see the clips, the Michigan-Ohio State clip that I put up from Friday night's show. The picks I gave to everybody did really well yesterday. I think it was 7-4. I'm going to put that clip up. It'll take you back to Friday night and what I said. And the Patriots game pick. I happen to have this on today. I'm not like a crazy Patriots fan. Something that I ordered several years ago. Get to pick a free item that came with it. And I was a big Bill Belichick guy. Was not now. I don't like this whole thing going on right now. But I was a huge Brady, Belichick guy. You could see them right there. So I grabbed the free Patriot thing and I wore it today. But I just so happened to grab this today, and they played tonight as total coincidence. But the Giants, Jackson Dart coming back. My pick is in there about that game. I'll put that up here as soon as I get off air. You can check on that, and those go out on my live show, which has been every Friday night at 7:00. I believe we'll be going again Friday night later this week. So everybody have a great day. Have a good week. Remember, I say it all the time, hug someone, hold someone, love someone. Life is short. Thanks for joining, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye now.